Emerald, ready to go? All right, 7:01, calling the meeting to order. This is the annual members meeting. Just for your edification, audio and video recording will be in use all day. Any members that want to sign up, sign-up sheet will be in the back. And we'll start with the prayer. Mark, if you lead, and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Morning, everyone. Please bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, we come before you today thanking you for the blessings of this day and the blessings that you give us every day. We ask that you watch over our annual meeting and our election and guide everyone's hearts and minds with wisdom to make the decisions that are in the best interest of our water system. We ask that you watch over and protect our military men and women, first responders, all those that work to keep us safe and free and healthy. And watch over them, protect them, and help them in their duties. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Where's our flag?
That's exactly what I was just going to ask. Trey?
Members coming with us.
Emerald, got the flag?
We actually have a flag procession ceremony.
That one on my lapel. All right, just hold it right there. Tell me. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'm going to announce by the bylaws, Article 7, Section 5, voting by proxy shall be permitted, but is required that 10 members of the corporation must be present in person at any annual meeting to constitute a quorum for the transaction of business. Can I have a show of hands of all those that are members? We have 6 directors, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 members present. Okay, approval of minutes. So in March of 2022, per board action, we approved the annual meeting minutes in February of 2022. And that's just for a matter of record. Item number 1, we're going to talk annual budget 2023, annual budget and the CIP. So directors, you have in your package 2 budgets for hauling of our water system as requested by Director Lynchard. One talks about a 6% rate increase and a pay increase for employees. The others is with a 0 rate increase. We had a budget committee meeting on Friday. Director Lynchard appeared to be okay with the 6% rate increase, but I'm going to open it up for discussion. I'm assuming all directors have had a chance to look at the budget.
I do have one question that I just noticed is since we've removed the real estate taxes for the golf course from our budget, I do notice we've increased that line item for taxes even without the golf course by $21,000. Is there a reason our real estate taxes are going up by $21,000? Almost 3 times what the prior budget was. I apologize, but since we've just finally removed this from taxes, this is the first time I've noticed it. Does anybody notice that?
Emerald, these were sent out on
Friday.
Friday?
Saturday.
Right. All right, where's the line? Director
Oh,
Lynchard
okay,
would like.
note 8, sorry.
Is it or isn't it?
Other taxes and licenses?
Yeah, you actually said note 8 says that you left the taxes, or a portion of the taxes in that number, which we decided we were gonna remove completely.
We moved it, yes. That was a true statement.
But it hasn't been moved, hasn't it? If you
Right.
look at note 8.
motion to reduce that taxes by the amount of Hidden Creek taxes? You wanna, or what it was last year?
I'm unsure of why it increased, so. Does any staff?
Sam's not here. Say again?
I don't have it in front of me to look at that line item specifically.
Yes,
I can look at it after.
I'm okay with going to the 10-7 of last year.
Okay.
Is that your motion?
I didn't make a motion, I was just asking.
I'll make that motion.
Well, no, you're right. It
Yeah.
moved to one line, so it needs to be reduced to the other.
Yeah.
But I like to get it now so we can vote on it versus
Okay,
kicking the can again.
all right. So, yeah, I'm good with that. So we're moving the whatever portion of that down, I guess?
Okay?
Okay.
Do you want a
Alright.
specific amount, or are you okay with just doing the math and moving?
I would
I'd
like to know what the number is made up of. If we're gonna do something
Well, I
without the
think-
information, then.
I
just
think Don
reduce
was
it.
making the motion that we use last year's
Budgeted
budget for
amount.
taxes.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm curious about the wages amount in our budget workshop. I asked if the wages included wages for positions that weren't approved by the board, and the answer was yes, that number does include positions that weren't approved by this board. And the number that's, you said there are two budgets, I only see one in my packet, but nevertheless, the wages number is the same as it was before the one we were initially presented in September. And unless that number comes down, I'm not gonna be in favor of this budget.
Okay. So what do you want the wages to be?
Not 4.2 million,
Okay?
okay? So, and I'd be happy with a number probably around, just less than 4 million, but, they've gone up significantly this year. And I understand the COLA, I have no problem with the COLA, I have problems with the extra, positions that were added to the org chart.
Okay. But you also have a problem with capping wages too.
Well, we can do a hiring freeze, we can do whatever we need to do, the new CEO.
Well, I don't think we can do a hiring
Can I finish
freeze.
what I was saying? The new CEO, can come to us with a budget amendment and, the new board can decide whether or not those positions are needed, but I don't wanna approve it. I'm not gonna vote to approve it as long as those wages still include that.
Okay? Any other discussion? Good.
Well, we'll vote to approve it if they include what? All the positions, or what if it said 4 million, which I thought I heard you say?
Yeah, it's 4,222 right now. If it was 4 million even, I would agree to that, but there's gonna have to be adjustments on the, if that expense goes away, then we have to adjust the revenue side and possibly have a slightly smaller rate increase, which that involves a good bit more, but. And that's gonna be up to staff to figure out, okay, where can that money go to save, a little more money, possibly not have as high a rate increase.
Well, since you-
I think it's fair though to allow the new CEO to have a look at this. If we want to charter him, give him 90 days or whatever to look at it before we decide on any decrease. I mean, we can.
But we're approving this for a whole year, and
Yes,
we're
but we can.
approving it with positions that this board didn't approve, and I'm not in favor of that.
Okay?
I think we should operate under our current, budget, and allow the new CEO to have some input into this, as we do not have, consensus agreement on.
Well, I'm gonna be, since we've always been under wages historically for the last 6 years by at least that amount, I'll go with Mark's making the wages at $4 million, let staff work within it. Since we have 5 positions that are unfilled now, currently, I think I'd go with Mark, make the motion.
I'll make a motion that wages be reduced to an even 4 million, and that staff, amend the budget accordingly to account for that.
I'll second that.
Okay? Any other discussion? Any other discussion overall on the budget?
Did we have a second on the original?
We had the second on both. I was just gonna wait till the end with those 2 inclusions unless you wanted to vote on each individually.
I'm good with everything.
I'm okay with that.
I do have one question. We're voting, we seem to have combined the budget and the rate increase, but they should be separate items, I believe. You approve the budget and you approve the rate increase, not one and the same.
I agree, but they kind of work together, so, you know, I mean, I'm happy to make do separate motions on there, but they, you know, the budget has to account for whatever your rates are gonna be.
Okay, any other discussion?
Is that the feeling of the rest of the board, that we should
I mean, I.
divide the motion and have the rate increase be a separate item?
Well, I think if the motion is within the budget to include a rate increase, which we've all discussed and you've seen, you know, I think that's fair. But if everybody feels it should be separate, I mean,
So I don't know how you would separate them. I mean, in a perfect world, we would have agreed on the rate increases needed in our workshops. But I don't know how you can separate them. If we're gonna approve a budget, put wages of 4 million, approve the budget based on staff, roll all those numbers down, it's gonna come to a rate increase or
It's still gonna.
not rate increase of something. Are
It's
we
still
gonna,
gonna have a rate increase.
are we saying we
Well-
approve whatever that turns out to be?
well, let me go back, right? Because back in 2020, the board, led by Director Lynchard, actually approved an annual rate increase of CPI, right? Last year, the board and the budget didn't need the rate increase, so we didn't give it to members. This year, even though CPI is 8.7, we're saying we can do our budget, including the wage increase to employees, with only a 6% increase. So over the last 2 years, where it should have been 15% CPI, we're only doing 6. So we already have a board policy that talks about a rate increase, and Daryl was right, last year, by approving the budget, the last board got away from that, right? So in essence, we would be saying, again, that board policy is what that board made, but this board is saying we only need a rate increase of 6, not 8.7. So if you want to do it separate, we can do it separate.
I mean, if you're.
Somebody make a motion and
Here's my thought process, okay? We're approving the budget.
check.
There's no percentages in here about rate increases.
Right.
So we're gonna approve numbers and then give it to staff, and staff's gonna just send a rate increase to people, or are we gonna give instructions to staff as to how the rate increase needs to be
You-
administered?
You've seen what the staff has provided, and it should be in here, is that graphic in here that talks about the rate increase? Yep.
I'm just.
At the very end of your budget,
yeah,
here's,
I understand. What I'm saying is we need to approve the rate increase, whatever
Okay.
that may be,
All right.
as well as.
I'll
the
take that
budget.
is that a motion to approve the rate increase?
Yes.
Okay. As proposed by,
Yes.
Yes, on that chart.
okay.
Mr. President, just to be point of clarification, my understanding is there is a motion and a second that you were debating.
Correct.
So
We,
if
right.
that one's being with, or are you?
no, we're kind of,
Taking the other one out of turn?
well, no, Will, you're right. In essence, when we made a motion on the taxes in a second, I was combining them all, but
Okay.
if you want to do them individually, we can do them
I
individually.
don't care. Do
All right.
whatever.
We need to.
Let's do it individually. So let's go back to Daryl's where he made the motion and it was seconded to have the taxes at 10,783 as last year. Any other discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. All right. Mark made a motion to move the wages to $4 million even and let the new CEO decide if he needs to come back based on any positions added or detracted. There was a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay.
Is it for this, for the rate increase, right?
No, sir, this is for the wages.
Wages, lower wages.
Was that an aye, James?
Yes.
Okay, unanimous for that. All right, now let's move to the rate increase. So at the very back of your budget, there's a proposed rate increase which averages 6%. It also encompasses our new permit that has us at a third tier. I'll entertain a motion to approve the proposed rate increase.
Make a motion to approve the proposed rate increase as published.
Okay,
I'll second it.
any further discussion? I heard a hesitation.
So what is,
I want to ask a question, but I know the answer. So I was going to ask if we had ran this by the Northwest Florida Water Management District to see if our tiered structure
Our-
is approved by them.
It doesn't say that it's tiered, the staff has looked at it, and we feel this meets their, and more importantly, we're still lower than almost all of our sister utilities throughout the payroll. Okay. Any other discussions or?
Yeah, I got a question. So the budget as it's printed sitting here in front of us reflects a 6% increase, or the increase that's shown on that page?
It does, correct.
Okay. Are we saying that with this reduction in the wages, that 6% increase is going to remain and that revenue is spread somewhere else? What are we saying?
It'll just reduce, at the end of the day, it'll reduce the overall. The revenue will be the same. It'll just,
I get you. If we adjust the numbers based on the wage decrease,
Right.
that rate increase, in my mind, should go down. Whether it's 5.9, 5.8, don't know, don't care. I'm just wondering, what does everybody think we're approving?
The amount of savings due to the rate increase should drop to an increase in the profit, which will go towards the Eglin project, obviously, as that kicks off. So we'll have to borrow less.
I'd like that. I
Unless the
think
board,
that's-
unless the board decides to change the rates back again.
What? I
I'll
didn't-
say that our rates that we charge existing customers will not affect the Eglin project. It will affect our bottom line profit and allow for us possibly to not have a rate increase next year. But I don't think it's correct to say that it will go toward the Eglin project.
Well, it's possible, but you won't have to borrow as much money because you'll have more
It
money
could.
in the bank
Hey,
to put.
in a roundabout way,
It gives us $200,000 of increase of what we have currently. Now, you can say, okay, reduce that somewhere else as far as revenues. I heard Don say make it 5.8 or whatever, so it evens out, but I also heard that we were gonna give the new CEO the opportunity to confirm that those positions are needed. So that money may, at the end of the day, still be needed.
may end up needing to be spent.
So I did not say make it 5.8.
No,
I said, all right,
I hear what you're saying. Do we reduce the revenue, or do we take it as a, and have that money for wages if the new CEO determines that those added positions are actually in fact necessary? Or, like Bill suggested, at the end of the day, it reduces our capital expenditure for the Eglin project? I had a motion to approve. Any other discussion?
you got a second too, right?
That's it?
Okay. Nope, not for me.
Okay. All in favor of the proposed rate increase, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Me.
James is a nay. Darrell, you are an aye?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I did.
All right, motion carries.
Just didn't hear you.
All right, the CIP.
Oh, you want, the budget, you want to do the budget?
That was the budget.
No, that was the rate increase.
Yeah, we just approved the rate increase,
Oh.
not the budget. We
Oh,
didn't
sorry.
approve the budget yet.
That's right, we approved the two motions. Got it. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget as the amendments previously made.
I'll so move that. Approve the budget with the amendments we discussed, the 4 million, the rate increase, and moving the taxes. I think that's all, everything.
Those are the only two, yeah.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All right. All in favor of approving the budget as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
James is a nay. Motion carried. CIP.
We haven't discussed the budgets for Messy and the Club at Hidden Creek.
Is there a discussion item for them?
Well, it's
Birthday
a
this evening?
2023 annual budget to CIP, is that, am I missing something?
No, you should have the Messy and the Hidden Creek budgets are in there as approved by their boards.
Oh, so this board doesn't have any input on the Club at Hidden Creek budget,
Or the Messy budget?
or the Messy budget?
That's correct.
That is correct.
That's my understanding, based on the operating agreements we have in place for each company.
And we've never approved the Messy budget. So if there's issues,
There's a difference between Messy and the Club at Hidden Creek. This company supports the Club at Hidden Creek financially, whereas we do not support Messy financially. And the problem
You
I
don't
have,
support the-
the problem I have is the operating agreement that was approved puts a spending limit of $25,000 on that board of managers for the club at Hidden Creek. If this board does not have, and it says any unbudgeted expense over $25,000 has to be approved by this board. If this board does not have any input in the club at Hidden Creek budget, then that's just like giving the board of managers of the club at Hidden Creek a blank check. And that can't happen. We've got to fix that.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
especially.
let me correct first of all. You don't support the club at Hidden Creek, you support the spray field. And there's a line item in the budget you just approved for the spray field expenses. Legal has already opined on what the budget, what the Board of Managers at Hidden Creek was authorized to do, and there was nothing in there in the operating agreement that prohibited them from making a budget. They were empowered to do that. If you want to change the operating agreement at the next meeting or in the future, then that's fine. But legal has already opined that there's nothing wrong with Hidden Creek doing their budget and approving it.
And
Now, it's in there. If you have concerns about it, we'll be able to talk about it and,
I just got it this morning, so, you know, that's my problem. Why was it held from us until today? To this morning,
Yeah.
7
you've,
a.m.
you've received Hidden Creek budgets every single month. They're in your packet
Not
every
budgets,
single
not
month.
the annual budget.
The expenses are in
The
there
profit
every
and loss
single month.
statement, not the budget.
We're gonna let the board of managers approve their own budget and then spend as much money as they want, without this board having any oversight. I got a problem with that.
Not only that, they get to spend all Holland water systems money.
Well,
as
That's,
they want.
Daryl, that's not true and you know it.
You've spent
That's
over
not
half
true
a
and you
million
know
dollars
it.
this
That is
year.
not true and you
have
know it.
spent more than
No,
$250
that's not true.
million
This
through
board used to give,
June.
this board used to give Hidden Creek $500,000 a year.
We
This year,
never
there was
wrote
nothing
checks.
for it.
We never wrote
You
we
can-
never paid their bills directly.
Daryl, for
I
the
am
last several
correct.
years,
No, we
no,
have
that's
not.
not true. The auditor has said, we've been doing this for years. So
Sure.
you can argue the process.
I really want to speak to the auditor because I think you're making up words.
No, I'm not, Daryl.
Yeah,
I-
you are.
I'm not keeping you from having input into those budgets, but approving the budget and coming to this now at the annual meeting saying, I
We
need to
have-
approve the budget.
I
is-
asked
have
for the
never
Hidden Creek
seen-
budget in November.
We have never seen a copy of the minutes of any of the meetings of those.
Have
those
you
meetings.
asked for them?
Yes, I have, multiple times this year,
You're gonna
I
have to.
remember
in
seeing
board
it.
meetings.
Yeah.
My question is, did we approve the budget for Hidden Creek without having it on the agenda?
No.
No. In fact,
Well,
it's,
that's what he just
approval of
said.
that budget's not even on.
That's what Joe just said a
But
minute
it's in
ago.
our packet.
Last year either.
Joe just said we approved the budget just a minute ago.
No, I didn't. I said how many of our water budget. All right, so what do you want to do about the, I'm ready to move forward. What is it you disagree with or want to know or moving forward need to know? But it needs to include Messy, because Messy's the same thing. I sit on the board of Messy. I didn't get to approve this budget. This was handed to me by staff. So if we're gonna do it for one, we need to do it for all. And if your motion is we do it in the future, you amend the operating agreement, okay, I'm up for that if the board decides.
I make a motion that we,
Well,
direct our,
that needs to wait for the next meeting. Go ahead with your motion.
no,
You go ahead.
I make a motion that we direct our attorney to amend the operating agreement such that this board has to approve the Club at Hidden Creek budget prior to the end of the year. We don't have to wait to the annual meeting for the Club at Hidden Creek. So no later than the December meeting, this board shall approve the budget for Hidden Creek, and the operating agreement needs to be amended to state that. And that at our next regular board meeting, we have an opportunity to amend this year's budget.
Unless that includes Messy.
So I'll second it for discussion.
Okay.
And my discussion is, I'll vote for it if we say we're gonna do the same for the club and Messy. If you wanna say the attorney's gonna make it to where this board approves the budget for the companies we own, I'll vote for that. If you're gonna single out one, whether it's Messy or the club, my vote's gonna be no.
Are you willing to amend your motion?
I'll amend the motion. I don't have a problem with us reviewing Messy's budget and giving input on that as well.
Approving.
Approve it.
we second them.
I have, for discussion, I would recommend we leave this until the new CEO comes on and readdress it with the new board and the new CEO, whether he desires, because he's gonna be the one that's gonna be chief in charge of operating both Messy and, or oversight for both Messy and
This-
Pelican Creek.
This doesn't have anything to do with the new CEO. This has to do with information provided to this board and what this board's,
There's-
authority
Oversight
is.
is, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with the new CEO.
Okay, but there's no $25,000 expenditures in that new budget for the Club of Hidden Creek. I'm not sure about Messy, I haven't seen that.
No individual expenditures over
Cap, no
25,000?
individual capital expenditures. Well, labor's obviously over that, the lease which was, for the equipment's obviously over that. There's no capital expenditures budgeted in there over $25,000.
This board still needs to approve that budget. That
Okay,
shouldn't be
I
done
recommend,
by,
I think that should be a decision for the new board, but that's fine if you want to do it, whatever.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I'm good. What's the motion? Say it one
Yeah,
more time.
Mr. President, I would like to make sure that I restate the motion to make sure that I have it correct.
Sure.
Director Miller, I have, the motion made by Director Miller is to direct the attorney to amend the operating agreements of the club at Hidden Creek and Messy, so that the Holly Nabar board approve their budgets no later than the November of the year prior to the budget going into effect.
I believe I said no later than the December meeting, but I would be happy to do it in November if we.
No
have
later than
everything
the
ready.
December meeting. Okay, thank you.
Call a vote.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay?
Okay. CIP. So you have the 5-year projection. Again, it is just a 5-year projection. Some of the stuff is pushed to the right. We weren't able to get this year. Obviously, things like generators and standby generators we've ordered. And as you can see in 2022, some of our projections of general repairs, say wastewater, we didn't need half of what was budgeted, so that just carried forward. So again, that's just general capital improvements of infrastructure. I'll entertain a motion to approve the CIP as presented by staff.
I'll move we approve the CIP budget as presented by staff.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
None?
Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. All right. 2023 election for the Board of Directors. Ms. Amber, you're going to read the names of the candidates.
This is candidates running for the 2023 election are David Crumbly, James Davin, Sarah Lynchard, Mike Matthews, Mark Neville, Keith Ford, Maurice Whipple, and Ethan Solomon.
Okay. Directors, any other comments? Okay, at this time, if I'm correct, legal counsel, we go into recess.
We just open the board.
We open
We open the board for general election.
We open the board for general election and voting. We reconvene. This board will resit at 7 PM.
And there would need to be a canvassing board meeting following this meeting.
Okay, canvassing committee. All right. That's it?
Move.
No.
That's right. No, we're not
We're
adjourned.
just getting up and walking.
Mm-hmm.
And going to vote.
But you put it